Okay, so Game Slayer episode 86, 68, I meant to say. Um, Before I start, I just wanna say I have COVID, so if I doesn't sound very clear or if you hear me cough every now and then, I apologize for that. I will try to mute my mic, but sometimes it happens too fast. Um, but yeah, we have almost like an entire crew here. Let's get to the intro for everyone. And Nate, how are you, man? What you playing?
Yeah, no, I've been good. Right now I am still playing through Octopath Traveler 2. I am on like the last 8 stages of Fire Emblem Engage. And funny enough, Morgan got me playing Power Wash Simulator.
Don't
No
hate.
way.
Don't hate. The game is addictive. Yeah, don't hate.
Yeah,
We got everybody in there playing. We had Kay in there playing too, and
yeah,
Audrey.
yeah. Kay and her
No
daughter were
way.
playing with us too, and yeah, we
Yo,
were just out here wilding in Power Wash Simulator, so that was pretty funny. Um, and then also I'm in the last chapter for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so I will be finally finishing that up. Like I said, I was kind of held up because I didn't want to finish missing some of the heroes in that game before I finished. Like I nothing I can't stand more than finishing a long game and being like, oh, you missed these three awesome things. Like that's annoying. So I had to make sure I was very thorough in my playthrough. But yeah, that's all I've really been playing right now. Oh, and also still Dio Field, of course. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Gotcha. Weep, how are you, man? What you been playing?
Well, I'm good, and I'm been playing, of course, like a Dragon Ishin. Uh, well, I think I'm not even halfway through. I think I'm still chapter 5, just doing all the side stuff because it's so fucking addictive. But yeah, having a blast. I mean, I highly recommend it.
Gotcha. The Wreck, how are you, man? What you been playing?
I'm doing all right. Well, I finished Forspoken, so I flattened that bad boy.
Congrats.
Congratulations. How was it?
It was fun. That was a fun platinum, man. It was enjoyable. Got to see everything that happened and knowing that what what, what was all conspired to it. So the story got better, as it progressed, and so I understood what was going on, whatever. And then the DLC for the prequel of that game is
Wait,
on
they
sale.
have a DLC?
Yeah, they have a DLC coming soon.
Yeah, I know
Um,
it's okay, but it didn't arrive yet.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's not here yet.
oh, it didn't arrive. Um, it's I already paid for it already. It was on sale for what, $16, 15.75. Um, but it's the upgrade for that game is like it was $25 to upgrading. But I waited for a sale for that one. But I'm about to try out these Lords of the Fallen. I try this game out to see how this game is. I just bought it yesterday, and that Power Wash Simulator. Man, I was thinking about that game yesterday. It's like the 6 players co-op. I was like, online. I was like, bro, we be pressure washing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, we
um,
definitely have.
so I picked up the DLC for that game too. It was for free
Yeah, the
Oh
DLC is
for the
man.
free.
Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah, the Tomb Raider and the Final Fantasy uh
Yeah.
maps. Yeah.
hmm Yeah. But other than that, man, that's it, man. Oh yeah, and Legend of Dragoon. I put some
Yo,
hours into that too.
Nice.
let's go.
Yeah, I
hmm
plan to play it, but it's on the back burner for right now while I finish up everything else.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
gotcha. Morgan, how are you? What you been playing?
I'm good. I'm good. Like Anate said, we've been playing Power Wash Simulator. That's been really fun and time consuming, and it's just good for the anxiety. Just to clean things sometimes. Um, so
A
that's been
palate
fun.
cleanser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good palate cleanser. Yeah, and still playing Octopath Traveler 2. Finally beat or finish Cassie's story, so I have to get back and finish the rest of the characters that I have. But I'm close to finishing. I think all of my party, the four characters that I have, because I'm on their last chapter. So I just got to push through that and then work on the other four characters that are in the game. But yeah, absolutely loving Octopath Traveler 2. It's been great. Stories have been great. You know, keeping me in suspense. Like, so there's a lot of twists and turns, and
Yeah, there
they've
are.
they've really done a good job at making each of the characters, at least so far that I've played with, the story is very interesting. Where I want to know, okay, oh man, like what happens next? Like, oh man, like somebody betrayed them, or they've lost their memory and they're trying to get it back, or they're trying to on a story of redemption. Like, it's just the stories have just been very intriguing, and it doesn't feel like needless grind when I'm building up my characters level or trying to hunt for better weapons. Like, I don't feel bored, or I don't make it doesn't feel tedious to me. Like, I'm just hyped and ready to get on to like the next uh main boss battle, and like get my characters built up. Um but yeah, I've been really enjoying Octopath. Like, I knew I would love it after I played the demo. But yeah, it's definitely sealed the deal.
Mm.
I hope I really want to go for the platinum. Um, so I know
What I
it's
hate.
gonna take me a minute. It's gonna
Yeah,
take a
I heard
while.
it's tedious.
Yeah, yeah. All of it's basically like you have to like in game everything. Like, you have to complete everything and get like the highest level on all the stuff.
Mm.
So it's gonna take me a while, but I hope I can do it because it's like I really enjoy getting platinums on games that I love. So I'm
Yep.
gonna try.
Mm.
Agreed.
Gotcha, gotcha. As for me, I played. So I finished Hogwarts Legacy. I enjoyed it, but I'm sick and tired of uh, the collectibles, which is I'm debating if I want to get the plat for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
Cause
collectible trophies is gonna test you.
it's
Honestly,
it's tedious and it's not
it's very
fun,
tedious.
and there is no skill in it
Nope.
involved. It's just a matter of picking up a guide or waste hours upon hours upon hours of your life.
Yeah,
Which,
I told Nate that I think they kind of just was like, we need an idea for a trophy, and they were just like, well, fuck it, let's just make them get all the collectibles.
yeah,
Like,
like that. So did like here is the counterpart. I played called The Wizard and the Slug, and I had so much fun with this game. And when I beat the final boss, guess what happened? I got the trophy. I got the platinum.
Yeah, the way
Despite
they laid it out.
despite the fact that it has three different endings, it doesn't matter. I still got the platinum.
Well,
It
it's funny you said that because that was actually a topic that we discussed. I mean, I know you guys missed it, but when they asked about why do you like trophies or what trophies don't like, what could they do to make trophies better? And a lot of the reason a lot of people stopped getting trophies or at least stopped going for them is because of the tedious nature of a lot of them. And then a lot of people said that their favorite in the game that they got the platinum in was Ghost of Tsushima because the way the game is laid out. Obviously they love the game, but because basically when you got to the end, the way the game is laid out and makes you want to do them, you basically are missing only like one small thing, and then you get the platinum. Like if you're even missing one thing. So yeah, that makes total sense. I definitely agree with that. I much prefer when they think about the trophies a lot more, lay them out better, and um, you kind of get it as you play. So yeah, I feel you. I like that idea way better.
so there is that. I played the beta for Exoprimal, and not only am I not impressed, it's hectic, it's boring, it's mindless. The
Well,
shooting
it's on
of
Game Pass.
the dinosaurs
Oh man.
doesn't have that much, almost like, oomph to it. Like, if you want a good shooting game, or play Destiny. Like, Destiny has some of the best gun mechanic. But with this game, I felt bored after just one match. I'm like, yeah, this is not it. Maybe for someone else, it's just not for me. I played better Dynasty Warriors games than what I played with this abomination. Talking about the slug and uh, the wizard, I got the plat, which basically you need to play the game from start to finish, and I had a blast with it. It's a short game, like 2 3 hours. It cost me what, $4, less than €4. It was on discount. I bought it for two, I think, and I had a truly blast with it. It's quirky, it's funny. Like, I actually got the game over screen because I didn't want to help the main character. I'm like, yeah, no, I refuse to help you. You're weird. Leave me alone. And I actually got a title screen, only to be interrupted by a banana man. I'm like, who are you? And they're like, you're gonna do it. So when I go back, they bring me back to the main place,
Uh-huh.
and they ask me again. And when I try to select no, I select no, but it turns to yes. They turn the what we call it, the writing to yes. It's actually funny. I truly recommend it. I genuinely recommend it. Um, I bought two games, Little Noah, and I bought also Dodgeball Academy. I'm looking forward to play both of them, including One Piece Odyssey. But
I know you're really hyped for One Piece, so I know that's your major
oh
thing.
yeah, I have. I'm waiting on it almost like because I know it's going to be an undertaking because jrpg and all that jazz.
Well, I'm just waiting to see because
Um,
this is your. I know this is like your quintessential anime, so
yeah,
and it being an
uh,
RPG, like yeah,
yeah, that's what I have always wanted. Um, but yeah, mm, I think that's about it. Um, so let's get to the topic.
well, before that,
Anyone?
shout out to the chat with
I can see the chat.
with
That's the issue.
Persona, Julian coming through, Nelson Gaming. Looks like we had a couple other people in the chat. I can't see the actual list right now though, but they were talking in the chat. And yes, Jew, I seen you on your JRPG grind, man. I know you've been out there going at it. This man been on a JRPG tear ever since he really kind of got into him. I forgot what he started with. He started with something. I think it was the original Octopath that kind of set it off, and then he was just on JRPGs like crazy. And now he's also on that Octopath 2, which is like I said, I didn't see a single person that has been on that game that hasn't just absolutely loved it, including us. So that game is doing work.
So yeah, shout out to Persona, shout
Hmm.
out to Gillian Johnson, and shout out to Nelson Gaming. Yeah, I know you already gave them a shout out, but hey,
Yeah, yeah, it's
I'm the host.
fine.
Yeah, no. For some reason, my YouTube is bugged
Oh,
because I can't see the chat.
you're good.
Um, but yeah. So anyone here played the beta for Diablo?
No, I tried. I bought it on Amazon because somebody was like, just buy it on Amazon since they don't charge you right now, so that you could get the code. But I don't think I got the code yet. But also, I saw a lot of people were having trouble getting into it, like the servers. So I was like, ah, it's whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I saw some gameplay and it's actually looking good, especially the
Oh yeah,
cutscenes.
yeah. It looks good. So I definitely plan to pick it up. So
Hmm. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And Exo Primal, I'm the only one that got that lost a few brain cells with that game.
yeah, that's a hard pass for me. I didn't even
Okay.
try.
You actually need a Capcom ID and link it to your PlayStation or whatever console you're working with before you can actually play the demo with the beta, which I'm like weird, but fine. Let me do so.
All of them are starting that whole like make one of our account things. Like Square does that with a lot of their games now too, where they make you make an account for a lot of their games.
Mm.
So yeah, it's not
Okay,
unusual.
so let's start quick. No, not Final Fantasy. PlayStation. There is now almost like a rumor that a PlayStation Slim and PlayStation 5 Pro is on the way. Would you be interested in any of those? I'm gonna start with Weeb.
I'll call bullshit on that rumor. Because
You call bullshit.
well, I'll call bullshit because I don't believe it for a second.
Tell him we.
Okay.
Make it make sense, right? They just got enough consoles to actually production on a level that can actually sell, actually meet the demand, and now they're going to redirect that production effort to divide that for another tier of the console. Yeah, nah, not gonna happen. And what's the
I
point? I
I
mean the mid-gen refresh last gen. I don't think that's the going to be the rule. That seems to be more of an exception, because that was because 4K suddenly became a thing. All right, what's there right now that would necessitate the a pro version of the console? Tell me.
I would not be surprised if it is true. Because remember, Jim Ryan had to stop his engineers from creating $1,000 piece PlayStation. So they already have an idea what they want to put in.
I
And
mean, a
uh,
$1,000 PlayStation, like if you make your console $1,000, it's not gonna sell, because there's a certain limit what people are willing to pay for a console. At that point, you're gonna enter PC territory, and then that's when people will just say, okay, I'm gonna buy a PC, right? So
what's that limit though?
$1,000.
yeah, $1,000.
So 900 people would buy it?
That's
I don't even think for
saying too
that, to
much.
be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't even remotely get close to a gaming PC, or else you're defeating the purpose of the console. So yeah, whatever
I
comes
think
out, they're gonna have to eat
maybe
that.
650.
Yeah, six is a stretch, like right, especially with the economy. With the economy right
Mm-hmm.
now, I think they could do 549 and get away with it, because that's basically what they did with the Pro. They just added like $50 more to it at the time. But like I said, it's really just more of a timing thing. Like when exactly is this going to be, and what is the tech? Like is what they're gonna have to present, because it's gonna have to be obviously a decent upgrade for anyone to even really consider it. But
Yeah, I said like if the Pro offered me where I wouldn't have to choose between the fidelity mode and the performance mode, they just give me the best of both. I can get 60 and I can get 4K.
with like
Then I'd
all
get
the
it.
bells and
But
whistles, agreed.
yeah, but other than that, no.
Yeah,
Like if it's just gonna be like, well, we can kind of push it a little bit more, like a
yeah,
few more
no,
frames. I'm just like, no, I'm good.
yeah,
Oh, that's a very different question. If it was there, I would certainly get it because I
Mm-mm.
want to play it the best possible way
Right.
there is. But I don't see it happening anytime soon, if at all.
But
I
Mm-hmm.
would
mean,
you upgrade?
like I said, I would upgrade, yeah, if the option was there. but I don't believe in the rumors that there's going to be a pro in the short term. That doesn't really make any sense to me.
Yeah,
Mm,
because if the Pro did that, it would make me wonder what the six would have. Like if the Pro, like let's just say in some hypothetical, like the Pro had you could do fidelity mode and performance mode. You get 4K 60. Like what would be the six? Like 4K 120, or because I know like because 8K isn't popular. It's very expensive, and most people can't. You can't really decipher the difference with 8K with the human eye anyway. So it's like what's the jump? What's PS6 gonna be? Like,
Yeah.
maybe 4K 60 with ray tracing.
But you already
maybe.
have that for some games. Like they're already able to make that happen with some games, like with Spider-Man. Like Insomniac are absolutely
Goaded.
going mad,
Insomniac or
madly
Wizard.
out of their head. Yeah, yeah, but it's not like they're the only ones who should be able to do this. So
Mm-hmm.
I think as developers are getting more comfortable with the console and current gen consoles, like they're going to be able to pull this off, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see the need for an immediate hardware jump because you're also going to get the problem is that you cannot actually allow developers to make games exclusively for that higher tier because obviously no one's going to do that because it's going to be only a fraction of the total sales of that console. But like what's the point because only for that you can uh, get like again like I said I would buy that version of the console because I would like to if that's the only reason the console's there like what you said 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing sure I would get it because I don't mind forking that money over to be able to play it a little better than like I bought the Pro as well but I don't see that happening as there's not enough of an excuse there or a reason to entice people to actually go for it. Like I said, the Pro was basically like a stopgap measure where they said, okay, yeah, 4K is happening, 4K TVs are coming. We are producing 4K TVs Sony, so we need to have a console that can actually do that. We can't wait until next gen. That's the reason why the
Mm-hmm.
Pro exists. I don't necessarily
Hmm.
think we're gonna get a Pro just because there was a PS4 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get
Gotcha.
that. I get that argument. Yeah, and like we've said, we're literally just getting the production, right with the PS5. It's finally, out in people's, available to anybody who really wants it. And even that, it's still not even available at stores. You
Mm-hmm.
know, ready for people to go in Walmart or whatever store, their local game store, and just pick up one. Like it's, you still have to mostly get it online. So with the PS5, it almost feels like it's just coming out, just the way it's finally being put out widespread. So yeah, I wouldn't say that it's coming. If it was, I would put it like 2025 or 2026 maybe, if it even comes out. Who knows?
From a leaked document, I remember seeing that PlayStation 6 is coming out in 2026, according to PlayStation to Sony themselves.
That seems.
Not we laughing though.
Yeah, that seems really soon. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like this generation's gonna go on a little longer because it
No,
took
no,
so
no.
long for it to.
Uh, this is because of the whole Activision Blizzard deal. PlayStation have to share information about their plan and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but you got to keep
Yeah,
it. You got to
but
keep in mind, like a lot of that stuff is like prototyping. Like they
yeah,
might
I
be
must say a lot of
talking
that stuff's
about.
not set in stone.
Yeah, they're talking about hey, potentially this, potentially that. What are we doing with this, and what are we doing? Like they're already engineering the PS6, but not really.
Hmm.
Like they're just but engineering the PS6, they're designing it constantly. What they mean by that, they're constantly designing it over the course of the time frame between now and when they think they need to launch it, and constantly reiterating on it as they wait and until they really get ready to feel like they need to finalize the device. Like that's what they're looking at. So I
Because
think
would
that's what
it
we
not
see.
be
Yeah, because they,
outdated?
they all have like internal dates, that they have for the company, just because they have to keep up with they have to answer to stockholders and production line. Like, okay, this is the projected time when we may do it. Like, it's they always have to plan in advance. They're never just, all right, it's 2027, so we really need to start thinking about the PS6 now. Like, they plan this stuff like years out, but it's always just
Mm,
projection for, just for the company to keep themselves on like a internal roadmap to make sure
Mm-hmm.
everything
mhm.
is, going okay. But it's I don't 2026 is not a definite date, especially with the, like, I keep reiterating the fact that it's taken so long for the PS5 to finally be in kind of full production. I think it's going to be a minute before, and we're just now getting to the point where we're getting PS5 only games. We're just starting that. So I think
Mhm.
the start of PS5 6 or PS5 6, Lord, PS6 is going to be a minute. I don't see 2026 as the start of,
Okay,
Yeah,
PS6.
I think
gotcha.
if anything, just by then, like PlayStation's just gonna be on all cylinders, and it's just
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be
that's when the good stuff's gonna
yeah,
start coming out right there.
yeah,
Mm,
The middle to
okay.
engine.
yeah. That's
Hmm.
gonna be all out
Before
war right there.
before we continue, shout out to Stardust and shout out to Dre Watson. Um. So, anyone have anything else to say about this topic? Rec?
Nope. It's not
Okay.
needed.
And
None
I
of this
think
stuff is needed now.
okay, and I think Morgan and Nate already covered that
Hmm.
together with
Hmm.
Weeb. Okay. Weeb, the floor is yours. HP Last of Us. What's your thought?
Well, the show is over officially now, so we can do
Hmm.
a retrospective. Overall, I definitely like it. They mostly delivered on the promise that's going to be, well, at least one of the best live action adaptations of a video game. Um, Nailed a lot of points. You can see, the show was hella expensive to make. Actors were spot on, even the ones that people were, skeptical about. I mean, Bella did an excellent job as Ellie, Pedro as Joel. Um, it's not perfect. I mean, there are a couple of things that I think, especially when they try to write their own dialogue. That's where there was dialogue in the game, but they chose to, change that to, well, I guess not make it exactly like the game. Um, I generally had a feeling that this was basically like a weaker version or like a bootleg version of the lines from the game. Um, but overall, it was great. I especially appreciate when it actually did deviate. Like, I know you don't agree, Omar, but like episode 3 is still the best one in my opinion, because it deviated, but in such a, like, for a good reason, because that story was definitely better than what was in the game. Um, and that's kind of sort of my problem with the last episode, which was still pretty good, but not as good as the other episodes, because it did try to be as authentic as possible. Yeah, sure, they cut out the infected, and that's definitely a critique as well, that they didn't use them as a lot, yeah, sparingly, which can partially be defended because, they made them scarier, right, with the tendrils and with the sort of hive mind they have. So, the best way to, create horror in that case is to not use them too much, because otherwise, they cease to be scary. But I feel like they did sort of cut up. Yeah, I'm hearing some static from somebody. I don't know who it is, but
It's with Caraba.
yeah, they cut back a little bit too much, in my opinion, because, you sometimes forgot that they were actually infected in this game. And I know, they said like it's about the characters, and yes, that's true. But there were moments where they could have just used them, and I understand why they cut them from certain sections, because they were basically gameplay sections. You could do that without it, and yes, it's it takes money to make a show like that, and if you know, especially those effect shots with all those infected, that's going to be very costly. So I can understand that they're not going to use them when they don't have to. But yeah, still they were a little bit missed. But what I kind of, for the last episode, what I didn't like is that they um, they changed the sequence when Ellie and Joel got captured by the Fireflies. I get that they didn't include infected, but I
Mm-hmm.
would would have loved to see more about the fact that Ellie can't swim, right? Even if there was just a stupid sequence where they had like basically the thing that Joel always does, like you have to find a raft or something to carry over. It's pure gameplay, but I would have loved
Yeah.
to see it like sort of the idea, like if you can swim, right? That's going to be really scary from Ellie's perspective, and that entire scene from Ellie almost drowning and then Joel saving her and trying to resuscitate her and then gets knocked out by the fireflies. It's a lot different than just getting knocked out by a gas grenade.
I agree.
And I think they were trying to, mm, yeah, again they've been keep trying to do this ever since the backlash they received from part two, that Joel is the bad guy, right? And it's sort of like I understand why they're doing that because of the backlash they received, and they're sort of reacting to that, but they're overcompensating because here, they've established earlier that, well, we know that Joel wasn't a good guy in the game, but like there was never any confirmation about anything that Joel did, like if he ever hurt innocent people. Well, in the show, he confirmed that, right? So they went a step beyond that. Plus,
No, in the game it's also
Yeah,
confirmed.
the game is not
what
confirmed.
confirmed?
No, no,
It
no,
What
no.
was
was
In
confirmed
the
in the game?
game, Tommy literally said, "We killed
yeah.
innocent people."
No, 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 no. Tommy did not say that. Tommy said that the shit we've done, I still have nightmares about that. But left up in the air what the
No,
hell they actually did. So
n-
that could
Until
simply
part
could
two,
simply
yeah.
no. He literally said, "I've been on both sides." Like Joe literally said, when
No, no,
they
no.
get
He said
ambushed.
innocent people. Though he's saying he didn't specifically say that.
No, no,
no.
no. But when I'm talking about, um, I'm talking about Joel. After they get ambushed, Ellie literally asked him, "How did you know about the ambush?"
Yeah,
And
okay,
Joel
okay. Okay,
said,
fair,
"I have been
fair.
on both
Yeah,
sides."
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Okay, okay, fair, fair. That can, I will grant that that can be interpreted as him actually having also ambushed. Well, to be fair, you could still argue that he could have ambushed people who were basically raiders or not innocent people. But it stands to reason that probably the people that get ambushed are generally not the perpetrators, but are generally victims. So I will grant you that you know that's fair. But other than that, they did try to make the Fireflies more sympathetic by removing that part where you basically knock the guy out when he's trying to resuscitate another person. They cut out the part where Marlene says that actually the others want to kill you, but I don't because you're the only guy who understands what I'm going through. Um, and they add all the scenes when they were begging for their lives and running away and all dramatic music. So it's really like in the game this sort of felt like you could yeah, it didn't really feel wrong because you were just fighting enemies that were in your way. They're trying to kill you, and they were trying to kill a little girl in the end. Whatever reason they had, that was the outcome of what they were doing. And you know she didn't have any say in it. She wasn't conscious, so there was no consent. So that's the thing that bothered me. Like I understand that you want to that in the end you want to make it clear. Yes, Joel made a selfish decision. Perhaps there's another thing when Joel admits that that he needs this, right? So they added that line in the show. Never said that in the game. So in the game, it really feels like more like, okay, you are Joel. These guys are trying. They're assholes. They didn't turn out not to be the good guys as we thought they were, and they're trying to kill Ellie, who's your companion, have been protecting during the entire game. And here it's like, okay, Joel is making a decision because he needs this, right? He needs he sees Ellie as a replacement for his daughter, and he cannot live, without her. So really, like, it's a selfish decision. I kind of, I mean, in the
But
end, like, it could be the same for the game. Like, it could be like that was what's going on in game Joel's mind, but they never actually explicitly told you that. And I feel like the game version is sort of uh, respecting the audience more, as a sense that they don't spell out everything, that they leave it up to you to make up your own mind.
mm,
And it's
uh,
perfectly good.
I
Yeah.
think doing that makes people a lot, give people a lot of confusion. Like the longest people believed that Joel was a good guy.
Well, no, but that's a problem. Like I said, then you're not respecting your audience because you're assuming that they're not smart enough to understand the nuances. And the thing is, like,
No,
him
because
being,
they don't. Because they don't. I have so many conversations with people that don't even know that
yeah,
Joel is a bad guy.
yeah,
Joel's not really.
but
It's not whether good or
yeah,
bad. It's a world. It's the world they live in.
yeah,
It's the
No, no, no. I'm
It's the
talking. I'm
reality.
talking. I'm talking bad guy in the sense of he's not a good guy. That's what
No,
I'm
no, no,
trying
no,
to
no.
say.
No one in that world is good. No one.
Yeah,
yeah.
no one is
That
it.
doesn't
No one is.
exist anymore. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not a thing.
You need to talk to smarter people, or
Oh, shout out
but
to. Yeah, go ahead. I thought you were done.
no, but I I agree that like with Inés, nobody in this world is really good. Like in the entire journey, you've seen people do horrible things, but also see the new ones. And I do like that the show actually goes beyond that. Also with the with David and that group, that they're making them appear more human. Though
Yeah,
in
they
the
did.
end, they're still despicable, because anything that they're saying, like when we first find out that they actually in the show are cannibals, you can still sort of, the idea is disgusting, but you can understand, like, if you're starving, yeah, what choice do you have? But then you see all the bodies that Joel sees in their basement, or wherever he was, like, okay, that was not a one-time thing. They've been doing that, and those were not their own people. Those were stragglers. Those were innocent people they probably hunted down, and that's probably what they were, why they attacked Joel, because they were probably wanting to do the same thing to him and to Ellie.
Yeah,
So
and
that,
to your point, we that's another thing that they kind of heavily implied but never actually explicitly said in the game was I mean, they implied, they didn't really say, "Hey, we're cannibals" in the game. Like, we saw the bodies and we all made the connection, like, "Oh my gosh, they're eating people in this game."
Who?
yeah,
No.
And the
Wait. In
David,
the game, it confirms that they are cannibals.
I think maybe Ellie says something or something.
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
I
no,
don't
no.
remember.
He literally said, "What do I say? Tiny little pieces."
Yeah, but you can assume that just chopping
Yeah,
somebody up,
he's
not
like
No,
necessarily
chopping
eating
her up,
them.
and like, yeah, he.
You could
That's
just
a
assume
response
that
to
as
what she said.
he's going to chop her up, but not
Yeah,
necessarily eat her.
yeah. People have
You know
said
what I'm
that
saying?
and didn't intend to eat
no, no,
someone.
no.
That's a
I
line.
remember in the game seeing chopping up a human or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
yeah,
to
I'm
the.
saying you can look at chopping up. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to eat them. Like, you can see somebody chopping somebody up, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna. The result of that is they're going to feed them to the people. You know what I'm saying?
well, I think I'm over in that. I think there is heavily implied in the game that this is a
Oh
regular
yeah, yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. It's heavily implied.
And
It's never like it's never direct. Like, hey, we're eating other people like they do in the show,
Yeah, the
or
show
that
it's
David
very
is.
apparent.
Yeah, and also it's it was heavily implied in the game that David was sexually attracted to Ellie, but now in the
yeah,
game we get I mean, the game, in the show we get confirmation of that. When he
Of that,
tries
uh,
to
yeah.
uh,
do what he does at the end of their little interaction. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he wanted. At first he wanted her, then he wanted her to make become his,
yeah,
which I
that's what I'm saying.
found
And that's
creepy,
another thing
but
that was
okay.
like you've been pointing out, Weave, that
So
that the game just kind of implied that it
Yeah,
was
they
never
yeah,
they definitely
confirmed,
did not
but
delve into
the
that.
show definitely
so
went like like yeah, this is what
Uh,
he's doing. This is what
but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I don't like to be clear. I don't mind it. I actually think that that's a great addition
Oh
to
yeah,
it
yeah. I
because
don't mind that
it
either. Yeah.
it's just what I but back to the last episode where I find it interesting is that they're going out of the way to make these fireflies more sympathetic. Even in the podcast, say, yeah, these are the good guys, right? These are trying people are trying to save the world. But they had the episode 4 or 5, where they shift to Kansas with Henry and Sam. They gave the opposition, right, the raiders, they gave them face, right? They were citizens who were resistance who overthrew Fedra and turned out to be just as bad as Fedra, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
and that's kind of like, to me, it's like, okay, but that's a warning to the Fireflies, because if the Fireflies come to power, there's a good chance they would do the exact same thing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
the game actually at part 2 actually kind of confirms that, because guess where the remainders of the Fireflies end up with, with the what's called
Militia.
WLF. Yeah,
The
and
militia.
they're just as bad. They're basically,
Yeah.
what
Wolf,
the
Wolf. Yeah. Whatever their names are.
Yeah.
yeah. They're basically, so that undermines the entire idea that Joel essentially doomed mankind, because who knows what would have happened if the Fireflies got a hands on the cure. They would probably use that to
Leverage. Hmm.
leverage it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you
They
want to
would.
have a vaccine, right? Okay,
Um.
yeah, yeah. You have to obey us, right? You have to.
Right.
I. I.
We own you now.
Hmm.
I think what's her name?
Marlene.
Marlene had a good intention, but at the end of the
Oh
day,
yes.
she is just
Yeah.
one
Yeah, but
person.
The
she's
world is
also
full of good intentions.
yeah, she's also extremely
Yeah.
some of
she's
the
also
some of
extremely
the
controlling.
some of the worst
Yeah,
atrocities
she
have all started
is.
off as good intentions.
Uh,
Yeah, but I truly believe. Yeah, I do agree with that. If it became a cure, they would absolutely leverage it, or
Hmm.
even worse, it would be stolen and sold to the highest bidder.
Yeah, because I mean, what's the saying? Like the path to hell is laid with good intentions. Like,
yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, Marlene may, she may have, tried to do, but who knows? Somebody else might have
Somebody
seen
else.
it
Yep.
as, come through and see it
Also,
as an opportunity to take power, and it'd
yeah,
be humans doing what humans do best, so being
uh,
But
selfish and
what
greedy.
what does it tell you about an organization that's willing to sacrifice a 14-year-old girl without her consent, for the greater good?
That's the
That's already
question.
that already compromises them. That already tells you that they're willing to do whatever it takes.
oh
They're
yeah,
willing.
of
Yeah.
course. They
Hmm.
almost see side
And one that she knew since birth at that.
Yeah, that
they
shit was
almost
It
side
crazy.
was basically her
one
mother. Yeah.
It's
justifies the need.
basically her
Mm-hmm.
daughter, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh well,
The,
I got to save my life." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I made a promise to my dying best friend, as she was bit, birthed Ellie out as her dying wish, like, take care of her and, keep her safe.
and
And
now I'm
now
gonna
I got to
put her on
sacrifice
this
her.
Mhm.
table
And
unconsciously and
you
kill
know
her.
the sinister part of it is that she, because of the added that scene in the
Yeah,
beginning,
they added
with,
it.
her
Yeah,
mom.
I love
Yeah,
that addition, by the way.
yeah, I love it too. But what's sinister about it is that basically
which
Marlene
scene?
knew that because at the moment that Ellie
Ellie's
was
mom edition, Omar.
what that Ellie was confirmed to be immune,
Hmm.
I mean, she's not stupid. She knew that, okay, that's probably because her mom was bitten and she was
Uh-huh.
connected to her, so that's why she's immune.
Right.
So basically they already know how to replicate it. So basically they could have just, yeah, it's pretty pretty dark. They
I
I
could
was
have
thinking
mean,
the
just
same thing, Weave, because I was like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
wonder if she put two and two together that,
yeah.
the reason
I
Ellie's immune.
I think what you guys talking about in the what you call it
Ellie's
the
mom, we're talking
TV
about.
series.
Yeah,
I
that's what
Yeah.
I,
don't think we've seen it in the game.
we did not
no,
see it in
no.
the.
It
That's what
was
we're
in the
uh,
game.
saying.
That was
That's
an
what
addition.
makes it worse. Is like you were right there. You saw her get birth. You held her. It's essentially your
yeah.
daughter, and this is
Hmm.
how you're willing to sacrifice you're willing to kill your unconscious child essentially from your dying best friend's wish, that you held the moment she was born, and it's like, what else are you willing to do though? Like,
But
I
the
yeah,
the sinister part about it is that what if she actually was like, no, I'm not sparing her because she's the daughter of my best friend, but like, oh, let's see what happens. And hey, look, it turns out she's immune. So basically she raised her as an experiment. That could be
Hmm.
that's a possible interpretation of this, right?
yeah,
That makes it even worse.
they
I
really
think
erase her just to
what
see.
one thing for sure is this. Um, nobody is a good guy. Like they all doing for survival. But
Hmm.
yeah, but one thing for sure is this: Ellie wanted to sacrifice herself because she wanted her life to have meaning.
Well, no, but
Uh,
we got to get past that whole Ellie on the street chilling thing. Ellie was
yeah,
unconscious on the table. That's the
yeah,
problem.
Listen, Ellie, man. Like, I think they insinuated that she wanted to do it even more in the show than they did in the
they
game with
they did they did
her
insinuate that a
desperation
lot
to
more.
especially with her trying to save I forgot the boy's name.
Sam,
Sam.
Sam,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. Sam, her desperately, cutting her hand. I'm like, okay, I'm the cure.
I
Like,
actually
she's trying to
like
rub her
that.
blood. I love that too. Trying
I
to rub her blood, like, I got you. I'm gonna stay with you all night. Like,
yeah,
and how bad she felt the next day when she was talking to him about it. Like, how what she did. Like, I cut my hand because I wanted, like, to save him. Like, I thought I could do it. And, like, with the meat, what they said, and after the whole giraffe interaction, which that was in the game too. But when she said, when he was like, we can go back, we can go back to Tommy and we can just live out the rest of our lives. We don't have to do this. And she was like, no, we have to see it through, or everything we did and all the sacrifices that were made were for nothing. Like, we have to see
I
this through.
again, I think part of it she feels guilty
Yeah,
because
Well,
of
yeah,
what
absolutely.
of
happened
course
with
she
Yeah,
does.
Riley.
Yeah,
it's survivor.
Riley,
Yeah,
Sam,
she has
like,
survivor's guilt. It's a
everybody
literal
she
thing.
she cares for around her just keeps dying. Tess, like, everybody who's come into her life and has had some kind of positive effect on her has died, and
Yeah,
like, and she feels like it's her fault. Like, it's all her. Like, she felt like Tess was
yeah.
her fault, Sam was her fault, Riley was her fault. Like, you know,
hmm Um, so shout out to Persona. He said some interesting things that I agree with. There were a lot of important things missing from the show. It was a cool show overall, but definitely left much to be desired, in my opinion. Um, I agree
yeah.
with that, and I would
No, I
even
agree.
add,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Weeb's point where, like, about the, especially with the when it comes to the infected.
I would
Yeah, like,
add even more to that. Oh, go ahead, Morgan.
oh no, you're good, you're good. I was just gonna say, like, I agree with his point. Yes, it's a show about the humans, and it's more about them than about the infected. But I just feel like they could have added just a little more infected. Just, you don't have to. They
Mhm.
don't have to be the entire episode. Like, we're
Yeah,
running from the infected the entire episode, but just, like, keep their presence alive and make it known that they're still there and they're still a threat.
Yeah,
Like,
at some point it was like, yo, they don't even exist, bro. I don't even know why we was
yeah,
tripping.
sometimes I just felt like, dang, where are the infected at? Like, they're out here talking loud and doing all this, and they're not, doing the kind of precautions we had to do in the game, which is like, keep quiet, don't make too much noise, or they're gonna come out from any random corner. They were just kind of
yeah,
like chilling half the time, and I'm just like, especially with these type of infected, where you step on a dang spore and, like, or tendril. Sorry, you step on a tendril and you can get 50 of them to come from 6-7 miles away or whatever.
Hmm.
That method. Like, I just feel like it's because I think that was a great addition. That made the infected a little bit more scary to me. I think if they had played a little bit more into that, it could have been a really interesting concept for this show. Like, just that fear, like, oh my gosh, they're around the corner somewhere. Like, if I step wrong, it could be the end of me. Like, I
Mhm.
just wish the infected were there
yeah,
just a teeny bit more. But overall, I think that, like we've said, the show was good. It was great.
yeah.
Great adaptation.
I think it's
Okay.
very very apparent and very obvious for all of us that And this was the same thing Priscilla was telling me. She was telling her friend at work, the one that she said watched the show and loves it, but has never played the game. Her immediate thing was, I probably need to play the game. And obviously, Priscilla was like, yeah, you need to play the game because there's so much you're missing
Mm-hmm.
because you just don't get it and you don't understand the urgency of the
Mm-hmm.
infected and the
Yeah.
world, and a
Hmm.
lot of that urgency is lost in the show as opposed for this human exposition, which, like I said, is fine, but like we're imagine it's like if you've ever seen like where you're reading a book but you are omniscient almost because you are getting all sides of the story, but the character you're reading about is lost because they don't know the whole story the way that you do. It's kind of like that. Like people
Yeah.
watching the TV show alone are missing all this nuance and all these things that happen. Like imagine the shock on someone's face when they get to that room with all the crayons and shit and all the like the little daycare
Oh yeah,
place.
yeah,
Imagine their
yeah.
shock
Oh
when they
yeah.
get to that in the game and be like, "Oh my god!" Like and like, yeah, see,
Hmm.
that's how real it
They
was.
implied that, but they didn't add too much. Not add, only add. They didn't, explore it in the TV
Yeah,
series.
but
It's just there.
deliberately they deliberately did that. That they explained it in the podcast that they wanted this to be in the show because it was such a great moment of the game. So they basically built that entire set, even though we didn't have the context. But
Hmm.
they didn't want to just tell the story that you basically just
That you get in
only
the game.
learn from reading the notes, right, in the game because they felt like yeah they didn't want to this to be like the definitive version of the story like the game and the show can exist next to each other, so if you want to know that you have to play the game, and I love that because it respects the game, like it respects
Uh,
the gamers.
I disagree with that motion because they literally add a few scenes that is done better than the game. So it's
Yeah, but
like, which
that
do
was
you take
that was their
at face
philosophy.
value?
Yeah, but Omar, you're always looking at black and white. That's their philosophy for everything. Like if we can if we what we want to do in a show is better than the game, we're going to do it. If it's the same or worse, we're going to follow the game. That was their entire philosophy for the show, and this was a moment they wanted to have in the show, even though it was basically just a gameplay section that it didn't add anything to the main story, and you only found out about it by picking up notes and reading them. But they still want to have it in there, acknowledge it that it exists, but then not trying to cheapen that by have somebody narrate or whatever and say, okay, you have to find this out by playing the game. And
Mm.
I love that they did that.
Okay, so here is my point on it. And if anyone have any point, we'll go through that. Otherwise, we're gonna skip to the next topic. Shout out to Persona. He said, Tess literally said in the beginning, "We aren't good people, Joel." I think he said, "We are shitty people, Joel." But
No, I think she.
taken
I think.
point
I
is
think she said.
taken.
I think she said
I
what.
I think that's said that
What?
in the game.
Yeah, it's in the game. We aren't good
Mhm.
In the
people.
game,
Yeah.
she said we aren't good people, but in the show, she said we're shitty people, or something like that, or
Yeah.
vice versa. One of those.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So basically, they already implied that Joel is not a good guy. Um, However, now let's get over with. They change stuff for the sake of changing, like the dialogue. When you say everyone and their damn mother has that same idea, or one of the best moments,
You stuck on that
Ellie.
line, ain't you?
No, no, it's but these are epic moments that you're supposed
I mean,
to
okay.
like, for example, Ellie, you're treading on mighty thin ice.
Yeah.
Like that shit is iconic, at least for me. Maybe someone have a different opinion about it.
It's a very
You do
It,
specific
you.
saying. So yeah.
You
it
do.
is, but
It's
again,
just
Omar, if you listen to the extra stuff like the podcast, you understand why they did certain things, and it doesn't mean that everything they did is okay. But like with that line, for example, "My thin ice," they explicitly addressed that they want to have that piece of dialogue in there, but they did that did not keep it in there because of Pedro not being able to, it didn't sound right if when he said that. So there
Yeah,
was
he didn't have that country accent. Well, that because you're
yeah,
Come
Americanized
on.
LA.
and it was apparently something that Troy improvised. It wasn't actually in the script, so of the game as well. So that was Troy. So I can understand that they make some changes. It's just practical things. So it's not that they just went out of the way to do that. Is it like we had to do this because it's a transformative medium, right? I mean, when an actor takes on a role, they try to be keep the spirit of the character intact, try to be the character, but they transform the character because they're they're a different person from whoever voiced the character originally, and they're just giving this their own interpretation. They cannot keep it like 100% because that's not possible, and you don't want them to do that because then it sounds like somebody just trying to give
Yeah,
a bad impersonation.
yeah,
That
at that point, yeah.
So,
exactly.
yeah,
Because at that point you're just doing you're like the poor they're just gonna compare like everybody's comparing him to Troy you sound like a bootleg version of Troy, and that's not what they want. They want him to have his own interpretation of the character, which is why they told him not to play the games because they don't want them copying them one for one. They don't want him to sound like
but
Troy, and they don't want that. They want him to have his own interpretation of the character and make it his own because that's the best way to get the best out of an actor is to have
but
him
we
do it himself.
with with the key moment, it's Elisa broke your fucking finger. She said it.
Yeah, of course they're gonna keep some lines, but that's what I'm saying. They're not gonna do 100% one for one with everything because they have to
That's,
have the actor interpret the character the way he interprets it. Because if not, he's just going to be imitating Troy, and then people are going to be comparing him one for one. Well, Troy did this line better, and he did that line, or Pedro did this better, and like you know what I'm saying. Like so, they want him to have his own interpretation of who Joel is because that's the best way to
mm,
get the best out of an actor is to
okay,
have
gotcha.
them. Yeah, but I
Um,
do feel like oh I'm sorry, go ahead,
no,
Omar.
go ahead. That's fair.
um I do feel like I don't know as y'all can y'all tell me if y'all feel the same way about this. I do kind of feel like I don't know how to explain it, like the relationship between Ellie and Joel in the series felt a little rushed. Like i
But
i
that's
didn't
the thing. I agree with you.
I didn't
Go
feel
ahead.
um like they were as much of a unit as they were in the game. And that's of course because there's so much more of obviously in the game going on and gameplay and crazy moments, and it just kind of felt like we were missing like maybe one or two moments where they could have like had a moment alone together or something to kind of like bond them a little bit more. It just kind of felt like we went from Joel, not really caring about her to all of a sudden he feels like she's his daughter. I
Hmm.
don't I don't know. Maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. Maybe I
No,
need to watch it
no,
again
I
or
agree.
something. But it kind of felt like the relationship was like rushed. Like okay, like we're here now. Like we're father and daughter now, and we're bonding, and I don't want to lose
Mhm.
you now. I just felt like that middle moment of them, getting to know each other and growing, and okay, we're in this together, and that type of bonding that happened in the game. I just feel like a lot of it, or not a lot, but there was just like maybe an episode that was needed to kind of like fill that gap a little bit. I don't know.
No,
I just felt like it was kind of rushed.
I completely agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just kind of like at one point, like it was like our relationship is about 60%, and then 90 and 100.
Then all of a sudden we're like,
Yeah,
yeah, we're at 100.
yeah.
And it's like us as the gamers, like we know why that happened, and we saw all the iconic moments that led to that gradual trust that grew between the two characters. But I just felt like it was kind of rushed in the show, and we didn't get that appreciation for how they got from point A to point B. And I don't
It
know, it just kind of felt kind of weird.
it
Well,
is. It's like that gameplay moment. That's what made it extra. So
well, that's what I was gonna
Mm-hmm.
say.
and
And even the
We
point that
talked
Weeb
about.
said,
Go ahead.
oh my bad, Annie. The point that Weeb was pointing out, the moment in the tunnel, when they had to go when they were right near the hospital, and they were going through the tunnel, and Joel brings Ellie out of the water, and he's resuscitating. You can see like the desperation in his eyes when he's trying to like revive her and stuff. Like moments like that, I feel like were needed because those were like those were the bonding moments between the two that kind of like solidified their relationship. And I feel like we were
Yeah.
missing like a lot of those key moments between
Oh,
Joel and Ellie.
yeah. Also, for example, when Ellie and David had to fight together,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
also a good moment to implement. So
yeah, that was a
clearly,
good
they
moment too.
cut out on a lot of moments. Uh, it 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 was rushed. It didn't feel rushed. It is rushed, and that's the reality of things. And for the people, and I'm not talking about you guys, that were defending the lack of infected, we're getting more infected. Not only that, we might be also getting fall with the second
Yeah,
season.
yeah, that's what they said. Now we're
Yeah,
thankfully they've heard the feedback and they're like, okay, we're gonna get you guys more infected this
yeah.
season too.
And
Yeah,
another thing I would even say is lacking, it's a core. Where is the core element? Especially with the game. Like with the game
yeah.
is
I mean,
less.
it got gory at the last episode. When
I mean,
a
yeah,
little
but
bit when Pedro went Terminator a little bit, but
I'm talking about Joel literally slamming people's face, breaking their entire face structure. Like
yeah, it's like
that
we
type.
had the key gore moments, like with when he had the two guys in the room and he was asking where Ellie is,
Yeah, that was good, but
busted their
it
kneecap
was
open and stuff like that.
far
But like,
in
yeah,
between. I
yeah,
think it's also because gameplay to gameplay moment that was not non-existent, which
I ain't gonna
they
lie.
at least needed a few. It almost feels like this needed to be a 24 episode show.
I will.
No.
I wouldn't say 24, but I wouldn't say that many.
It definitely
But
could have
maybe
been
like
longer.
maybe
Okay,
like
12 to
12,
15,
maybe
12.
12,
no,
15,
maybe 12. Like
12,
just to fill the
15.
gaps.
Like, they could have added so much. They could literally give us more moment with Tess, more moment with all the other characters, build
I feel
them
like
up.
the test storyline was pretty good though. I feel like that was the
Yeah,
one thing
sure, it
they
was,
did
but
well.
I wish to add more moments with it.
I mean, they gave.
They
I
were,
felt like they gave Bill all that extra, and they just was like, "Yo, you know what? Yeah, still just kind of fuck Tess." Like I was like, "Yo,
they
the
actually
fact that
gave,
Listen, the
yeah,
game
they
said fuck test,
gave
alright?
that,
uh,
they gave it all to Bill.
yeah,
I'm like,
They
all
gave Bill a hundred and
characters,
ten
I like
percent.
Bill's story
Like
though.
you gotta
I
give
don't
Great.
dislike his story. I'm just
Bill.
like the fact that they thought about doing tests and like showing you tests before. Like I would have loved to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they apparently talked about how they were going to mention, Tessa's backstory about how she was married and her husband and son, I think, became infected, and she
I
killed
have
her
no idea
husband.
about that. How do you know
But
about that?
Because it's
I
in
think it was
the
like in the podcast, or
podcast.
it was like, or
Yeah.
in an interview with Neil, and
But
like
it's not
she
in the
killed her
game,
husband,
No,
right?
and
no.
but she couldn't kill her son, so she like trapped him in like the basement or something because she couldn't go through with killing her child, and that was going to be like kind of like the foundation of who Tess was and how why she's so cold, and then why
Damn.
she is. And I was like, dang, that would have been cool. Like, we love
Yeah,
Tess.
that would,
Give us a little bit more background on Tess. Tess is one of my favorite characters in The Last of Us. So,
yeah.
I would have
I
loved
like
that.
that would have had more impact than the one we got
Yeah.
with Bill.
And
Like,
apparently we're gonna get supposedly we're gonna get background of, Ellie's dad, maybe in season 2. I think Neil said like he's
that
thinking about.
that
So,
would
you
feel
know,
really weird. And like, why would you? Well, now you're deviating further and further away from
no,
the
I think that'd be
game.
cool. I want to know. Shoot. Like maybe he's a firefly or
How's
something.
that deviating? If
Because
yeah,
we
I
absolutely have no idea who the father is in the
look,
game.
look. I don't think they're gonna just introduce that like, hi Ellie,
Yeah,
I'm your dad.
yeah. I don't think
I
he's gonna come about. I think it's just gonna be like
uh,
flashbacks to who he is.
exactly like.
Yeah.
By the way, the part with Anna, with Ashley
Hmm.
Johnson, that
Hmm.
actually was that actually is canon to the game because Neil actually wanted to make
Yeah, and a
short movie
DLC
of
or
it.
something.
Yeah, no, actually want to make a live action thing of that, sort of accompanying the
Oh yeah.
game, but it never got around to it. So that story was basically always there. Though to be fair, I do think the entire I like the part except for the part where they use that to explain why Ellie is immune because that's such a kindergarten solution. Like, oh, she's immune because she was connected to her mom when she was bitten. Like, that's not how fucking science works. Like, you're making a astonishing effort to be scientifically accurate, and then
That's
you're doing
exactly
shit
how
like
science
this.
works, Weeb.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Steve Ratchet said, "What if Ellie's dad is a total weeb?"
It wouldn't honestly
Hey,
surprise me.
what if
He was
Ellie's
like,
dad is, guess this, weeb?
"Yo, chill." Like
Okay,
I feel like
yeah, go
maybe
ahead.
they're gonna make him like maybe a part of the Fireflies or something. Maybe he was one of the fellow
Hmm.
members, and he like
So
sacrificed
then,
himself to do something. I don't know.
if they're gonna give it that dad a backstory, then we might as well get Ashley Johnson as well, combined
That's one
with the
thing
dad.
I did appreciate about the show. Them incorporating the original characters so well.
Yeah,
Not just like cameos. Like, oh, you see them as random people
In the
walking
background,
in the
yeah.
background. Like, but I appreciate that they gave them like integral roles in the show. I think
Mhm.
that
yeah.
that was very
I
well done. And
I
the
would
fact that
have loved.
the
Yeah,
voice actor for Abby who was one of the nurses. If y'all didn't catch that, she was one of the
yeah, yeah.
nurses. I was like,
What's
that's
his
cool.
name? Laura Bailey.
Yes,
She made a
yes.
cameo. Yeah,
I
she
was
made a
like,
cameo.
oh
But,
man, she had to watch her dad die twice.
Um, so
but
with
actually, she turns out she actually also was a nurse in the first game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She voiced one of the nurses in the first game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
oh,
and
okay.
the newsreader at the beginning of the game.
Okay, damn. All right.
I think it's cool, and it's important to give the OG crew some
Mm-hmm.
love.
Shout out to
Um,
Marlene playing Marlene. Okay, she did a great job twice.
Yeah, she did.
I would have actually truly loved if Troy Baker was what's his name? Uh,
Roll.
David.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
David.
Like it would have been a very interesting, almost like duality between Troy Baker,
Yeah,
the uh,
Joel and
uh, Joe versus Troy Baker that actually David is.
yeah,
Like
that
that would have added
would have
some
definitely been
spin to
different.
it.
I mean, isn't it enough that Ellie killed Joel?
She
I mean,
did.
hey, I'm
She
sold
threw
on
that
that
machete
one.
right into that man's neck.
Hey,
Oh
okay,
man.
I think we okay. So at the very end, um, it started strong. It dialed down. It had its cool moment, but it's not what we. Okay, no. Let me cancel that. It's not what I was expecting. It didn't hit that top tier.
Honestly, I hadn't really no expectations. I didn't really know what to think about going in. Knowing the reputation of
Video game
gaming
adaptation.
to
Yeah, but
yeah,
this was
to
supposed to
media.
break the mold.
Oh, every single one of them thinks they're gonna break the mold, which is why I was kind of like, you
To be
know,
fair, there are few that broke it. Sonic, amazing
yeah. But I'm
movie.
saying as far as like
Yeah.
TV goes, it's very rare. I mean, I went into it thinking, it was gonna be good just because of the marketing was ramping up and them talking about it. Like you could tell like the level of quality and excitement. Like they don't, and the way HBO was advertising it, they don't advertise like that if a show is trash. Like they were marketing it as their next big show, which it happened to be because it beat out House of Dragons as like the most viewed show
Yeah, it
new
dethroned
series.
that.
Yeah, dethroned house. Like, so if you could do that, like, so they knew what I had a feeling it was going to be good. I mean, they had Pedro on the cast, they had Bella on the cast. So I was like, it's going to be good. But I honestly, it's better than what I initially thought it was going to be. Yeah, it had its letdowns, and yeah, it's definitely missing a lot. But I think it did well especially for the people's perception of video games. I think it did a good job to show people that video games are more than
Mhm.
just these empty things where you're just pressing X and shooting, and there's no plot and there's no depth to it. I think The Last of Us hopefully has showed people that there's so much more nuance to video games, and they're a beautiful way. They're a beautiful way to it's a beautiful medium that can do storytelling just as well as any other book or
if not better.
Oh yeah,
show
we
or anything.
already passed that.
Oh yeah,
We
that's what I'm saying. We know that, but I'm saying as far as like the regular people out there who aren't
okay,
into
yeah,
gaming,
I got you.
hopefully it's opened their eyes to that video gaming is
Mm,
there's a lot
w-
more to it.
what it did for me is to fight that we are never gonna be able to get that top level series. Cause if The Last of Us didn't do it, I
You don't
don't
think it was
think.
top level, bro?
No,
Damn.
no, no, no.
Man,
Look. I, I didn't, especially after hearing that Neil Druckmann is gonna be, it's his baby, and he's in control
Neil,
and stuff like that. I, I didn't expect the stuff that they did to do.
why you say it, especially when you heard with Neil? What was wrong with Neil?
No, what I mean by that is since he is the OG, you'd expect to get it in top quality, but it was missing stuff, and that's what
It
I'm
wasn't
saying.
a quality show. Okay, we're not gonna sit here and say that show is not top quality, Omar.
No, no,
Okay,
no, no.
especially
I'm
when I
talking.
see
No,
Resident Evil get trashed
yeah,
every time it comes out on Netflix.
Resident Evil
That's an example of bottom tier
the Resident
interpretation.
Evil, Resident Evil being trashed from movies day one, not day one, but
I think
after a
when you say
few.
top quality, you mean as it pertains to being an adaptation.
You mean like as far as one
Not
for
that
one?
the show was bad.
No, the show wasn't bad, but it didn't meet
It didn't give you
the game
everything that
standard.
yeah, it didn't meet
I mean,
everything.
to be fair, I don't think any like there's
No, but
I don't
that's
think
what
there's
I'm
really any
telling.
instance
That's what
where
I'm telling you. That's why I told you.
So
I don't think anything gonna be
no
able to meet
no,
game standard.
no, I just
what
think
you're
it's
saying?
unfair because like any medium, whether it's like any medium that tries to interpret a source like a book, a video game, like comic, whatever, they're never going to be one for one because you can do so much more in those mediums than you can in like a TV show or a
mm,
movie. So it's like I think it's an unfair expectation for it to be a complete one for one because you're not going to be able to do that in a TV show. You're not going to be able to do all the same things you could do in a game that you could do in a show. It's not going to be able to deliver it because you're not that person. You're not playing that character. You're watching. You're not making the decisions. You're not doing what you do. So I feel you, but it's just like I think
yeah,
it's impossible to expect a one for one from anything like
it's.
that. Like
I also find it very reductive because if you I think a perfect example is The Shining, right? Uh, Absolutely brilliant moving, but it's not faithful to the book at all. Like I think Stephen King even hates it, but it's better than the book. So you don't need to be faithful to the source material to create something great. Uh, but and the thing is with The Last of Us, that's already such a fantastic story. Like it was impossible to make it better than the game. So you
Mm,
cannot you cannot do that because this is top
mm,
tier already. Like you're cheering on Sonic. Well, yeah, I mean, but that's a pretty low bar because what's the story of
yeah,
Sonic?
what's the
I
what's
mean,
the story of Sonic to be honest?
yeah, I
Like
mean, but I'll grant it, they've succeeded in making that a fun movie, right? So they learn from the mistakes of the Super Mario Brothers movie where well al-
oh God!
almost
Don't remind me.
learn it because they initially tried to make remember Ugly Sonic, right?
oh
They
man, that
initially were
thing,
planning to make the same mistake, but they listened to the
cursed
fans.
image,
The curse,
cursed
yeah,
image right there.
that
Oh
that was
yeah.
that
When
was
his eyebrow, they had to fix that.
That shit
I
was, oh
remember.
my
I
god, that was
it,
a
remember.
nightmare. That was
Oh
that was
yeah.
nightmare
that
worthy
did
stuff
give
right
us
there.
the memes and the Chipmunks movie.
And and even they even fired the team that did
Really?
that fixed the
They did?
eyebrow. I think remember they fired them because
Damn.
Oh,
they had to let them go.
that's harsh.
Yeah, so there is that. So that's their
People don't
thank
like it.
you.
You're fired.
Hey,
No, no,
but you
no,
know,
no, 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 no.
huh?
The people that fixed the eyebrow, they had to let go of them. Not the people that created the original eyebrow.
Damn.
Yeah,
Wow, right. Okay,
yeah.
yeah. Well, it's
I don't
different.
recall why, budget cut maybe, but I remember hearing from a video that they had to let them go. Um,
Okay. So people
but
who salvage a dumpster fire. Okay, cool. Oh well. But
but don't remind me with OG Super Mario because that shit. I
yeah,
watched that shit. Let that.
yeah, me too. And it is absolutely a travesty that they had such great talent. Dennis Hopper, Bob Hoskins. I mean, it's that they were actually tricked into doing that movie. But hey, but back to The Last of Us. I actually think it's a fantastic adaptation. Uh, Not perfect. I think the game is still better because how could it be worse than any adaptation because it's that good. But I disagree with the notion that, well, you say it's not bad, but you don't like it as an adaptation, and I think I do. And I think most game adaptations, like there are there aren't really any game adaptations that are I mean, I can't really think of any that are faithful, and those that try might actually run into the issue that, like, I think, for example, the Warcraft movie. I mean, I think it was fairly faithful, but it was boring as fuck. So you can actually run into that problem that you're trying to be too faithful and it just doesn't work. You sometimes need to change things. And I mean, we have plenty of great game adaptations. I mean, the Sonic movies
Mm,
are fun. I wouldn't say them to be masterpieces, but they didn't fail. Arcane is a fantastic game adaptation. I mean,
Oh
we have
man,
plenty
Arcane's amazing.
we
yeah.
have plenty of anime that like Gungrave, which is a fantastic anime about it shouldn't be as good as it is, but it's based on the game. Um,
It's the
and
cyberpunk anime ish.
cyberpunk anime, yeah. I mean, there are plenty. I mean, I think we are already past the point where you know there's a curse on game adaptations. It's just like Morgan said, it's now the general audience seeing like a big, massive production that succeeds. That's and the thing is like we will see this differently than somebody who's never played the game because they're like I've had talked with a person about who had never played a game. So for them everything was a surprise and they love the show. They loved everything about it. And for us it's
Mm,
like like there are parts that we think, okay, yeah, the game did better or they changed this, and there are parts where we like, oh, it's great they actually managed to adapt this, into a show that they actually took lines from the show, whatever, and there's also things like I think where this is where we probably will disagree because there will purists like I think you are, Omar, more of a purist who would love it to be as authentic as possible and don't like changes, and that's fine. But I'm like I said, I think that my favorite episode is still episode 3, which deviated the most from the game, while the last episode is possibly one of the most faithful ones, except for some gameplay sequences they cut out. But I actually didn't add like the whole sequence, of Joel, gunning down the fireflies. Yeah, that wasn't as exciting for me. It was functionally a good scene, like it was well shot and well directed, but it didn't have the same impact for me as when I was playing the game. So
Mm-hmm.
would it have more impact if we had a moment where he had to gun down other people. Like he only did it what in the game, not in the game. In the TV series, he used the gun 3 times or 2 times, but in the game, like you're constantly doing it. Would
No,
it
no, no.
have had more
I
impact?
no, no. I don't think it would have less impact because then you would get used to it. I think I don't mind them not have like cutting down on some of the uh, gunplay sequence. Like, I don't I actually think it was a great idea that they changed the in episode 2 the left out Fedra and replaced them with the infected, which was a far more effective scene. Plus, yeah, it made sense. Like, it never really made sense to me that Fedra was pursuing them so far. Like, they're basically just prison guards, right? They
Yeah,
they don't
yeah,
give a fuck. Like that you escape
exactly.
to the quarantine zone. Like they're just gonna if she ever come back, she's gonna shoot you. That's it. Like they would care. So
Yeah,
I think that was a better decision. And there are some things that they actually, yeah, made sense that they changed that because if you think about in like you don't really think about maybe because you're playing the game, but from a narrative perspective, some things don't make sense, and they sort of fixed that. But
Mm,
I, but in the end, like I said, and I think also like I have like a particular opinion about. I mean, I fully accept that Joel is not a good guy, but I'm not on board. Like I wouldn't say Team Joel, but I'm not on board with the entire idea that Joel made the wrong decision because if you want to argue that point, then you're also in favor of killing a 14-year-old girl to save humanity or potentially save humanity because you don't know if humanity can be saved at this point. So
mm,
I find that always interesting when people are trying to argue, and that's one thing that yeah I don't like. Naughty Dog also confirming that in uh, interviews or whatever where they said like yeah the cure would have worked like let that up to our imagination, right? Like if
Yeah, they
we
shouldn't be
don't
confirming
know,
that because
yeah,
that's not known.
the
yeah.
cure,
Yeah, I think
the,
they definitely should have left that up
the
to
I
yeah,
the
don't
gamers.
think. Yeah, the cure wouldn't have turned all the infected back to normal. Like
yeah, but
nah.
No,
yeah,
no, no. The
no,
cure was
that
supposed
that's
to
not
just keep people immune. The people that
exactly.
are still alive
So that,
immune, so that
uh,
they can't get bit and turn like Ellie.
exactly. So would we know more? In fact, that's the point. But the thing is,
Hmm.
like, if they left that up to our imagination or left it up
Right.
there, then you could more easily argue for Joel's decision because, like, what if it didn't work? Then, they would have sacrificed
Hmm.
Ellie for nothing.
For
He
nothing.
would,
Yeah.
and probably Joel, he would have nothing left to live for because he basically accepted her as his daughter, and he would lose his daughter twice. Like that would destroy that man. So
Yeah. And he
I
already another thing that I think was a great addition to the show was him inferring, that he got that bullet wound not from, somebody else. He got
yeah,
it
yeah,
from him trying to, take, kill himself basically.
yeah,
And I think like to your point, we like he probably would have tried that again after he lost Ellie. Like that's what he did, tried to
exactly.
do
Yeah.
after his first daughter. So losing another daughter like twice,
Mhm.
I think he would have just,
Yeah.
done the same thing.
mm,
Like he
okay,
needed Ellie.
okay. I think we're done with this topic. We beat it to death.
Yeah.
Um,
So
It's
wait.
a great topic.
Hey,
Nah. So
hey,
so
yeah,
no
Wait.
no
I
wait
think
wait
Eddie
wait
wanted to
wait.
say something
Yeah,
though.
because I've been waiting. So hell no, we ain't moving on. Hold the fuck up.
Oh man. Oh
So
man.
because this is a point. There's a point that we brought up the other night about the whole adaptation thing, and this is something I brought up before we even watched the show to you, Omar, about the way adaptations work as opposed to like them even trying to adapt anime, right? And I was explaining how they could never truly capture um, in movies or TV shows the way that anime is displayed, right? And now you see that ultimately, although I like the show, um, the reality is there's so much missing from it that
yeah,
ultimately I wouldn't say this is as simple as what we were talking about the other night, which we were saying, we were laughing at the whole everyone always says the book is better than the movie kind of thing. like 99% of the time the book is better than the movie, right?
Mm.
Um, but in this case, I wouldn't say flat out it's that to me, yes, the game is much better. I don't really give a shit. But what I would say the important thing to take away from this, from anybody who has watched the show and not played the game, is that you need to play the game.
Yeah,
It
that for
like
sure.
yeah, they're like hand in hand at this point. Like,
If you
and if you've
don't,
played the
then you're
game
gonna
and
be missing out.
you're going
Yeah.
to be missing out. And if you've played the game and you want more nuance and additives to what, things you might not have known or got clarification on, then watch the show. So I don't
Mm.
that's what I say. I don't think it's a bad adaptation. I just think it just goes to show again how strong the game is, and like it's just going to take it to a different level for a lot of these people, and it shows because like I said, a ton of people that we know in real life and stuff, like in proximity rather, they that have not, are all like, so what exactly would I need so I can play this game? Like that's what's happening.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we see the
Gotcha.
sales
Oh,
have went up 300, 400, 500% for
yeah,
all the
400,
Yeah.
installments.
Yeah.
So it's
400%.
crazy.
Yeah.
So they were onto something with those adaptations. By the way, Nate, you mentioned anime adaptations or say a manga adaptation. I do think one movie qualifies as actually encapsulating the spirit of how how you would adapt an anime that's Battle Angel Alita.
Dragon
Is
Ball, the
That
OG
no
one.
yeah,
Alita Alita. That worked for me. That worked for me because I know it got a lot of shit from critics for
hmm
some
Which
things
one?
that but
Battle Angel.
Battle Angel Alita. But that movie worked for me because there were scenes in there that were straight up anime stuff that they just made live action, and I loved every minute of that movie. That movie is a perfect anime slash manga adaptation.
Mm, okay, gotcha. Never heard of it, but I will maybe look at.
Have you really not
A
ever
good,
heard of
a
that?
good, no,
Really?
a
What?
good anime that not an anime. It's Sucker Punch. Sucker
What?
Punch, the movie. It's
That
great.
that that's garbage, Omar. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
I am fun with it. By the way, I found that article very quick. The VFX team who fixed Sonic got laid off. Um, so basically, they said that it wasn't the bad video game character that killed NPC Vancouver, but bad video game practices. Like that industry, VFX has a terrible reputation of for exploiting and then tossing away their workers. Despite allegedly having had to crunch 17 hours a day to single-handedly save a 95 million property, they were just tossed aside with no input because their
Okay.
offices weren't located in a city that was offering enough tax breaks, only being allowed to stay on it if they uproot their lives and move to a whole new country. Whoop,
Oh,
rip.
that's anything on that Disney shit. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy.
that's horrible. I don't wish that on anyone. Um, we gonna absolutely move away from that topic because wow, Last of Us. Even
I mean, that kind of just shows
now,
how, like I said that last night, it shows how great of a game and narrative it is that you can
oh
have
yeah,
this
it
much of a
it
nuanced
is.
discussion about it. Like you could fight for either side and be like, well, this side was right, that side was right. I think that's the great thing about The Last of Us. Like it just, you could just, there's just so much discourse, to be
Yeah.
had about it.
So the voice actor, no, not voice actor. The actor behind Silence and appears another one
Zavala in Destiny
uh
2
in
and Destiny
Destiny.
1.
Um, and he is also in Fringe, which I forgot. So there is also that.
Yep. And John Wick
Um,
and The
yeah,
Wire.
I love him. Like Silence is one of the best. He passed away last night, I think, and it made me think. where that gorilla was this one. And also, I wanted to celebrate his what you call it, his legacy in a way. Um, so Weeb, where do you think gorilla goes with this one? Do you think they're gonna kill him off in three or?
First of all, let's say that at this point it doesn't really matter. I mean, we lost Lance Reddick, one of the great ones, fantastic actor in The Wire and John Wick, yeah, Silence in uh, uh, um, Horizon and also in Fringe. Um, it's a fucking tragedy. I mean, don't think we know exactly what he passed away from, but it seems to be natural causes, but it's way too young. Um, so yeah, this point, it just my thoughts go out to his loved ones, and I mean, as fans of his work, we lost a great one. That's should be basically all we can say about it. As for what it means for the game, I mean, they'll figure it out, and the only thing we can hope is that they do it justice and not, um, yeah, do something tasteless or um, disrespect his legacy. But I mean, I trust them that they do right by him.
I think both companies, Gorilla and Bungie, have respected him. And shout out to the Destiny crew, dude. They had a memorial. And I would absolutely not be surprised if Gorilla sneak in something almost like a memorial in Bunny Shores.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
certainly possible. Yeah.
because you know they're gonna do something like that. If also and again I'm not trying to diminish his legacy to talk about the game. I'm genuinely just curious, but we did actually lose one of the good ones with him, like great actor and and a truly beloved character, whether it's in Destiny or Forbidden West or Horizon, the franchise. Um, Nate, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, I wrote about it on the timeline. I mean, I'm rarely ever the whole distraught over like celebrity deaths and stuff like that. I mean, it's always sad to lose someone, that was a solid person. But Lance in general was just a really awesome human being. Um, he did a ton for the communities in and outside of the games. Um, and just his general living advice and experience in the world of acting, and it's just an all around great person. So um, yeah, that like I said, that much is just rough, and that one actually will definitely affect me pretty heavily for a while. As far as like, I mean, I think it'll be widespread. The loss of someone that was that capable and that talented at bringing these characters to life and being a beloved person in life in general. Um, I mean, I'm not sure what they'll do, but obviously the team behind all the games he's worked with are brilliant and valued him a lot. So I'm sure he'll continue to be honored uh, thoroughly within these games, within these teams, and the effects that he had on these people working with them in real life. Um, and people he worked with, on movies and TV shows, Fringe, and a bunch of stuff. Like I said, the guy's reach was his legacy is far reaching. So, like I said, I'm sure they'll figure it out. Like I said, I don't know the limitations of technology. The PlayStation teams are first party studios are definitely up on it. So, I mean, they may be able to kind of deliver the rest of what they desired from the character by having um, enough potential recordings on hand or other things like that. So we could still, get his character continued. Um, at least enough to finish out what they truly wanted to finish doing with him, and kind of solidifying his legacy within that world as far as they wanted it to go. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think, like I said, either way, any of the teams I think will do right by him, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of memorials and stuff like that put into the games and Easter eggs going forward.
Gotcha. Morgan?
Yeah, it's honestly, it was very surprising. Kind of came out of nowhere when I first saw it. It was TMZ reporting it, and at first I didn't believe it because half the time they get it wrong. So I was like, man, I pray this isn't true. Like, just say it's not true. And then I saw other people covering it and reporting it, and it confirmed it, and it was a big surprise. Like I just remember like when he was on Twitter in his video, he was showing himself in the mocap suit, and he had to delete the video because I think it was like infringing on him disclosing the Horizon DLC that was about to be announced at the time. But I remember just him smiling and happy and talking about him working on it, and I was excited. And now to hear that, I mean, it's been a tragic year and a loss for like, especially when it comes to the video game community. We lost Annie Wershing earlier, the voice of Tess earlier this year, uh, right before the episode where her character dies in the show. And now, to lose Lance, it's just, and so soon, so sudden, it was just, it's really tragic. And, condolences to him and his family and his loved ones. And yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with the game. Like, I'm sure, like you said, Omar, I wouldn't be surprised if Gorilla put a nice little memorial in the DLC, if not in the third game for him. But, yeah, it's honestly just really sad.
It is
But
hard, yeah?
yeah,
Because it's almost like we know the character person because of the character that he played. Um, so shout out to one of the Gorilla developer. I think her name is Chantal. I'm not sure. She put out the end line that he said in the game. And the second one, what's the name? He said, "I have done everything I can or explored everything."
mm-hmm.
And Aloy asked him, "Where are you going?" He said, "Elsewhere" or something like to explore something. And she's like, "That line does hit different now after finding
Yeah,
out that he died." But yeah, a great actor, great personality, great person. Rest in power
Indeed.
to this man. Um, and Nate, you wanna handle Yoshi P?
Yeah. I mean, it's just uh. So I mean, they came out with some more, I guess, extra statements based on the whole evolution of or changes to Final Fantasy, and the I guess speaking more about the way they kind of felt, him and the team kind of felt, I guess, trapped um, in the shadow of Final Fantasy VII, um, and whatnot. And it's like I said, I get where they're coming from, um, and things of that nature. And my thing to it, as far as the statements, I definitely sympathize with them because personally, I really do not care what happens with Final Fantasy VII. I'm clearly not the biggest fan of that game. I think it's okay at best. Um,
It's a good game, but
no, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but like, Um, he was ultimately stating, like they felt trapped. He said Final Fantasy VII specifically because obviously they work with Square, but he just meant in what made up a JRPG. Um, but it was utilized in a way that that was also kind of saying like, well, because he wants to do something quote unquote new, or change the direction of specifically Final Fantasy, his direction that he sees for it, that um, fans kind of basically trap them into what is the idea of a JRPG, um, stating that we were opposed to new ideas or new experiences is what was stated. It says new experiences. Um, and I mean, I just, in that statement, I just entirely disagree with him. Um, Largely because that's not the case. I play tons of different games. Tons of other JRPG fans I know play tons of different games. So it's not about you. It's not about you trying something new. But I think this is almost like a. For me, it seems like a place. This comes from a place of fear that your idea of what you want to do won't be accepted. And I'm like, I've said from the beginning, do what you want to do as the creator, right? They put you in charge of this multi-million-dollar property, um, and they got faith enough in you to execute, right? But don't like preset people up to be like, oh well, if you don't like it, it's because JRPG fans are just unwilling to change and experience new things. And it's like, no, I've played tons of games. I've played more genres probably than him himself. Like, so don't tell me, the person, the consumer, that I'm wrong about what you're doing because if I don't like it. Like that's very always been like a pet peeve of mine from like creators. And I'm like, look, I want you to be free to do what you want to do, um with your thought process and your creative freedom. I'm all for it, but don't ever put me, as in me, the consumer, any of us out here who are traditional JRPG fans or turn-based fans or whatever you love about JRPGs, as this don't like insert this caveat of, well, if you don't like this new thing, it's because you guys just don't like your new experiences and you guys want to trap us into, this, that, and the third, and not willing to accept us trying something new. And I'm just, that just really rubbed me the wrong way. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, essentially that's really, they were just, it was an extension of the whole, uh, issue they had with feeling discriminated against JRPG versus RPG, um, which is never really that. Like I said, that's a made up thing. Like that's how he thought it was. That's what he thought it was. That's how he felt. You know what I mean? But it's like no, it's literally just a genre thing. You can do whatever you want, but like this is kind of like it kind of comes back to the whole freedom of speech is not freedom of consequence. And it's like, all right, well, freedom, you got freedom to do what you want, but I'm free to dislike it. Like a lot of people seem to, have an issue with that lately. Like the
You're choosing violence, eh?
oh, absolutely. Like I said, I'm all about creative freedom, right? But I am just as free to dislike your changes or what you believe is your interpretation of this or the direction it should go. um at the same time, like don't guilt trip me into like trying to love what you're doing to the game, because that's not going to happen. Like I'm not just going to roll over and accept it the way a lot of these fans have or are looking to do, because they're already fans of the direction. Because ultimately, it's not a quote unquote new experience. It's a similar experience to several other games, and you're changing it in the Final Fantasy franchise to mimic or to be an inspiration of those other games. But it is not a new quote unquote experience. Like that's the other thing that kind of gets on my nerves. Like like rarely is something entirely a new experience in all of gaming, right? That's often attributed to hardware, right? Like us getting the haptic feedbacks the way that we have in the PlayStation controller, right? I've That is a completely new experience. Anyone who hasn't held the DualSense controller and experienced that and played Astrobot and Returnal and all these games that
Oh
utilize it
yeah.
really well, that is a new experience. So no, yes, it is going to be a change to the Final Fantasy series, but I've played plenty of hack and slash games. Like I'm not expecting to get Final Fantasy 16 and go, oh my god, this combat's gonna change my life. No, I'm expecting a new story. I'm expecting new characters. I'm expecting, world building and all this other stuff. And that is what I expect to be strong. That is what an RPG or JRPG is intended to do, is not have weak ass elements when it comes to that. Cuz people keep getting on this whole what is this and what is that? And it's like, yeah, all those other things have to be strong and we don't know shit about that yet. So, yeah, that's my real take from all of this. Like it's just honestly, it's just manifestation of just I'm afraid that my idea won't be accepted, and I'm like, look, you were bold enough to do it, be bold enough to stand on it, and I don't know if that's like something that's a lack of you know that's like a cultural difference thing or whatever, but I've seen that from a lot of people, and it's like, dude, stop all this second guessing because it's already happening and it's already coming. So ultimately, I'm gonna tell him like I told Phil Spencer in the Xbox team. Sometimes I wish you would just shut the fuck up and let the shit come out. Like, just you've been talking too much now. Like ever since that interview, just the continuation of all this extra talking. But yeah, that's basically what was going on.
Gotcha. You said it at the end that I wanted to say it. Like he genuinely remind me of Phil Spencer. Like, don't tell me how good the game is. Show me.
Exactly.
Not only show me. Let the game speak for itself.
Yeah, what we're two
Audio.
basically 2.5 months away from it at this point. Like, just stop the interviews, stop all the extra, deliver. That's it.
Why don't you give us a gameplay breakdown? I know they gave previews, but I don't need a preview. I need a breakdown.
Yeah.
I need an actual breakdown how things work. Also, it's almost like he doesn't have any faith with this one. They are truly afraid of this not selling well or doing well, and they think the best solution is to alienate their fan base.
Well, I think it's finally coming to fruition for them that like potentially a large portion of the fan base just may not mess with this game for
I
at
think
least
a
for a
lot
very
of
long
people.
time.
I mean, when they tell when you hear shit like if you wanna get excited for Final Fantasy 16, play Devil May Cry 5. Like that way you lose a lot of the JRPG. They're not about that life.
Yeah. And no, that's what I'm saying.
Wait,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Like
but
a lot of them are, and that's not to say all of them, right? Some of them are obviously clearly fans of that genre type, and like I said, for those people, they love it, right? They all, man, this is it. This is a evolution, a revolution in the franchise, and this, that, and the third, and like people are again rushing again, reminding me again of Xbox fans and even Nintendo fans calling stuff Game of the Year before it comes out. Like, bro, just let the game come out and let it stand on its own. And I don't want to hear any of the second guessing from the creator because I'm like, look, you stood 10 toes and said that shit, that this was it, this is what you wanted, or whatever, and now I'm hearing all this background noise of like all that this sounds like you're just not sure. All the it was all this, we want to increase the fans and sell to more fans, and it's going to basically garner a wider audience. You were so confident in all these words, and now it's like now you're talking to fans of JRPGs, and you're like, well, they're probably not going to really support it because of this, and that, and it's like you don't know that. Like, but it's just like I said again, this like the place of uncertainty is just kind of very off-putting for me. Like
Yeah,
for someone who sounded so confident in their direction months ago. But yeah, I know you were
they
saying
don't
for
sound so confident anymore, eh? Do they?
they don't.
They
What you think?
genuinely sound scared, which
Yeah,
is funny.
it is.
And real talk, that's what happened when you alienate your fan base. My thing is this. Um, it's between that line and the line, and this is even with Shueishida, which I disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
How a smaller, shorter game is better
Yeah,
because they
that
want people to finish the game. I'm like,
yeah, that's been a new thing.
that. What are we doing here? You can make a great game that long, and if it if you make amazing side quests for it, hey, I'm gonna play them. I love Ghost of Tsushima. I love Forbidden West. I love Ragnarok. I did every single thing in every single one of them, and all of these games were long, and none of them were JRPG. So the whole notion that JRPG, I'm gonna get that, what you call it, what he said verbatim, because I have it bookmarked,
Mm-hmm.
because I actually felt insulted by that line. Um, so he said Yoshida. So yeah, Takai says there will be a leaderboard. Oh yeah, okay, never mind. So we heard that there will be about 11 hours of cutscene in Final Fantasy 16. That's a lot of volume to expect. Yoshida, is that true, Yoshida? I think it is, but I'm not sure. He said the 11 hours estimate does not even include scenes that happen during battle events, so it truly is a chunky amount. And that doesn't include side quests either. Takai, we also have cutscene prepared for content not related to the main story as well. Okay, that's cool. How many hours does it take to clear the game main story? Takai, Final Fantasy 16 is a story-driven game that will take you on a roller coaster trip. You will see the entirety, okay, and the game will probably take around 35 hours to clear. If we include side content, it can be double that amount. So 70 hours, that's way more than expected. No, real talk, I expected 100 hours.
But,
Um,
Omar, Yoshida is Yoshi P.
Yoshida Yoshi P, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, uh, we had people asking if you focus on the main story, does that mean there is not that many side quests? That's absolutely not the case, as we, of course, have plenty of side quests prepared. As long as they are memorable, I will do them all. Yoshida, when the game development was just starting out, I had the idea in mind that gamers these days are really busy with other things, so I wanted them to be able to at least aim to complete the story. I thought making the game something you can complete in about 20 hours would make sense, but more and more just got packed in. Sakai, I also thought it would be a good to, to be to be able to clear the game in about 24 hours, the duration of a day. But as we worked on the game, things just kept expanding. Let me stop here. That's very few. Like 36 hours for a JRPG.
Well,
Like,
I think a mistake is that they're worried about the amount of time respecting gamers' time is not the amount of time, it's that you don't put a bunch of fluff and bullshit in there.
Yeah,
If you
I
have a
agree.
core story and something that is great and it happens to be 90 hours, cool. I'm good with that. I don't that's not the problem. The problem, see they're interpreting the dislike from these overblown bloated
Yeah,
open world games and our dislike of the time it takes to deal with the shit in them, and they're taking that and looking at the core game and going, we should make the core game smaller. And it's like, that's not the complaint. You are respecting my time. Like right now, for instance, on the screen, Octopath, right? Both me and Morgan are loving every single second of this game. It is respecting our time. It is not wasting our time. I'm not looking at the length for this game, right? Because they're taking the time to tell every single character's story and tell it well. Nothing is wasting your time. They're misinterpreting the length of something with the bloated, the bad reception from gamers about the amount of time it takes to explore these, like I said, often waste of time and fetch quests and all these different things. That is not anything to do with the core. So they really need to stop interpreting it that way. People love a good long game. It's just
yeah.
we don't want it
So
filled with nonsense.
yeah, shout out to Julian. He said I put 150 hours in Octopath One, and right now at 100 hours in two, I'm addicted.
Exactly.
Like, if you make an amazing game, people are gonna play it. People are gonna want to get the most out of it. I put around 100 hour in Hogwarts. To be fair, I would cut some of it because I left the game on for a few times just to get some stuff. But yeah, going back to Yoshida, uh, they actually say something else. They say, for this game, we really wanted the player. Yeah, for this game, we really wanted the player to be able to experience the story from start to finish. If the story length was too long, then it might get tiring to play. That's why we want Final Fantasy 16 to feel like a roller coaster experience, where just when you think you can see the road ahead of you, you're pulled into another direction. Okay, a twist. I like that. As a result, the game is truly packed with story, battle, etc. That if you did not skip any cutscene, it will take about 55 hours for you to understand the meat of the story and complete the game. Now, if you want to master all the abilities and stuff like that, gather all the accessories, do all the side quests, and fight all the monster hunts, you're probably looking at 70, 80 hours of gameplay. Not only that, but we also included an insanely difficult new game plus mode that allows you to carry over all its tasks called Final Fantasy modes of probably even more hours. Okay, my issue is again he thinks the game needs to be small. Like cut the fluff, yeah, but your game you are making a JRPG, not a JRPG. You are making a Final Fantasy game. It's
Yeah.
you know what this remind me of? This remind me of how to make if this game was called The Legend of Fantasy. One, I don't think it would have gotten that much hype for it. Two, I don't think we would ever hear stuff like this. Cause it this doesn't sound he want to make a Final Fantasy game.
Well, and that was kind of my thing originally when it came out. And like I said, do what you want to do, but like that's why I said don't be worried about the switch up now. Now that you already made the changes and the game is about to come out, because ultimately, like you said, it sounds like he wanted to make a different game,
It does,
entirely.
doesn't it does sound like he want to make a totally different game that's not Final Fantasy.
Yeah, which is fine, but like that's the other problem is like a lot of these people, a lot of companies want to capitalize on the name, and they don't want to come away from the name, even though they essentially want to make what is essentially a different game, which is annoying. Like that's like someone using the Lord of the Rings name and coming out, with you go to watch the movie and it's like don't Boys in the Hood, you know what I mean? But it's called Lord of the Rings. Like, like it wouldn't make any sense. You're like, wait, this is an entirely different thing. This has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. Why is this called Lord of the Rings? Like, it's just like it almost gets to that point. It was like, at what point do you deviate so far from what the franchise is known for and what people have come to love the franchise for that you become a different game is the real question, right? Like imagine if Gran Turismo came out and they called it Final Fantasy. That makes no sense. Like it's not Final Fantasy. Like that's what people are almost saying. Like you could just name whatever. Like the name is whatever. No, the name is synonymous with certain things. Gran Turismo often sells the way it does because of the name of the pedigree that the game has garnered over the years. It is very, very famous for accuracy in simulation, right? There are other games that have come out that have tried it. There's Assetto Corsa, there's Forza Motorsports, there's all kinds of games, but a lot of them have failed to garner the same amount of success that Gran Turismo has been known for over the years. That's why when that game drops, now thankfully it happens to be good, and when you happen to be good on top of having a great name, then yeah, it amplifies it even more. But like people trying to act like it's just negligible and they can just do whatever because Final Fantasy is known to alter things a bit, here and there, in between iterations. It doesn't mean it can also just be an entirely different genre and just be whatever. Like, and it's just like, no, it's cool. This is still Final Fantasy, and it's like, is it? Like, what? Like, at one point, you're really gonna have to question, is it? You know, and that's really the question. But some people don't. Like I said, as people like the new direction of certain things, they're like, no, I think it's perfectly fine. And it's like, okay, you're okay to be fine with that, but I'm also okay to say I don't think this shit is Final Fantasy. If that's ultimately how I feel after I play this game, you could have named this game like you said, Fantasy Legends or something else, and been like, I would have been just as convinced, if more than anything, like, oh man, they came out with a new franchise, and called it a day, but they didn't
Yeah,
because they're obviously depending on the name and they want to ride the success of the name and kind of see what they can get away with, which, like I said, is
yeah.
fine, but stand on that shit.
It what it remind me of. It took me a while to get it. It's the Assassin's Creed effect.
Well, yeah, that's a perfect example. Although I like the new game, I also understand as someone who has played since Assassin's Creed 1 why a lot of people who loved Assassin's Creed are like, yo, what the fuck is this? Where's my stealth element? Why does it not matter when I'm stealth? Like, there's a whole creed behind this. There's a whole all these things that made Assassin's Creed. It has elements of it, but it's missing a lot of what truly made the game Assassin's Creed. And now of course they're going back to the drawing board, and they look like they're listening to a lot of what fans say, especially if you look at Mirage and the way that looks like it's going back to the roots of the franchise and really focusing on being
I
an
wish,
assassin.
but apparently that's the one that went off.
You said it's a what?
It's a one time off.
Oh, one off. um
Yeah, one off.
I mean, possibly, but we got that game, and then you've got another one coming in between then, and then you've got the one that is supposed to be the definitive, top tier experience, which is supposed to be Red, which is them finally going to Japan and finally listening to fans after years and years and years, of us saying that we wanted a story for Assassin's Creed in Japan, which is perfect because of the Japanese history with ninjas versus samurai. Um, so yeah, I don't know, man, but yeah, I think that is a really, really, really great example of how far do you get away from a franchise so it's no longer that. Because Assassin's Creed Valhalla definitely could have just been called something else. Like it could have been called like a Vikings adventure or something, and people would have believed it. You know?
And Odyssey as well.
Yeah,
And Origin, all of them.
yeah.
So By the way, for the people that saying that we don't like new stuff, you're talking to the same people that, well, at least for me, I almost like organize a PowerPoint presentation just to convince my parents that I need a PlayStation 3 so I can play Final Fantasy 13 versus and 13 back, you know, back when that was a thing, back when 13 was actually legit epic, and 13 versus was. Is it fair to say 13 versus could have been the evolution of Final Fantasy if they did it right?
Yeah, absolutely. People were excited for it, including myself.
I remember I I I remember getting excited, hype for it. I felt like this is a blend between Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Like this could work if it done correctly. And the story seemed gritty, and I will never forget when you see what Noctis can do, only for Noctis friend tell Noctis, Noctis, you're not even that strong, or something like that. And then the trailer ends. Every single trailer for that game, like legendary.
It was.
But between that and Final Fantasy 13, the music, the trailer, watching it. Good morning, Viper. If you can come join in. I would love to hear your thoughts,
Well,
and then we
I
close
think
out.
I think the big problem with a lot of this, right, is a lot of these people just don't know a lot of fans of the series and stuff. Because I could tell you factually that's incorrect just between us in here, right? We plays like Voice of Cards and all these other like super obscure ass games that
I played Boy the Cut. That's a great game.
no, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like to say we don't like new experiences is just insane. Like that doesn't work. That's not a valid criticism because it's a lie. Um, like and it's trying to say like JRPG fans or like turn-based fans just want everything to be turn-based is also a lie. Like we're all in here looking forward to Spider-Man 2. I would fall out of my fucking chair if they stepped on stage and showed us Spider-Man 2 and that bitch was turn-based. I would be like, "What the fuck is this?" Like I
That
would
would be interesting. That would be like, okay, how you gonna make it work?
yeah, like I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna be intrigued because obviously they gave it some serious thought.
Yeah,
But I'd be still like,
but I
wait a
would
minute,
be
what the hell?
open-minded to the side eye. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I would totally understand fans being like, yo, what the fuck? Like, so yeah, like I just don't think people understand like the valid criticisms in some of this. I'm like, you can like it, but like, don't act like the criticisms aren't valid.
Hey, we have a Viper. A wild Viper appeared. Shout out to you, Viper.
I was
Um, good morning.
yeah, definitely good morning. Around 4:15, 4:20, I was preparing to get ready to be on the show. I was researching something, and I just thought my eyes started moving. So I was like, I'm gonna just put my pillow here for a second and go to
Oh
sleep. Yeah.
man.
My wife had to wake me up and say, "Hey, what do you want for dinner? You missed dinner. You didn't take your medication. You didn't do this." I was like,
Oh man, you missed everything.
I missed everything.
Oh, you
So
missed everything. Good on your wife for hooking up. Did you
yes,
eat and took
no,
your nap?
I'm about to. The food my medication says I have to wait an hour before I eat the food, and I
Oh,
took
okay.
it right ordering it, so I'm waiting now.
Okay. Thank you for coming through. So, what were you researching?
Um, the JRPG who was talking about the JR, I think I saw a post from Innate about something with JRPG fans. No,
Yeah,
I wasn't.
this
I
is
woke up. I woke up to that.
yeah. No, this is what we were talking about. This is strictly from Yoshi P. He keeps shooting himself in the foot.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah, so he was.
Nah,
The article
I,
basically essentially said that like basically fans being critical of of JRPGs. He kind of felt like fans fans of the series, and Final Fantasy VII specifically, were kind of pigeonholing them or locking them in place as to what a JRPG is or could
Remember
be.
that?
And I was saying like, well, that's a lie. Number one, I was like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You're in charge of this franchise. Like, I was
Mm.
like, so, but to say that, but the part is, it's constantly the fan part that gets on my nerves, like attacking fans, because it's like, well, JRPG fans don't like new experiences. So basically, it's their fault that we haven't been able to do what we want to do, basically. And I'm like, no. You want to do something new with the franchise. Don't put that on me to force me to like it. Don't guilt trip me to make it sound like if I don't like it, it's because I don't like new or different experiences. Because all of us in here, just alone, just between us, all play vastly different games, a bunch of niche games, a bunch of popular games, at hack and slash. There's probably not a genre in here, just between the couple of us that's in here on this panel, that we
That
couldn't
isn't.
say that we play. Like we literally expand the entire spectrum of all of gaming, like just between us in here. So and a lot of us in here, if not all of us, have JRPGs that we like or love that happen to be turn based. But that does not mean that we are opposed to or don't like other experiences. Like that's crazy to me.
No, no, and you're right about that. Me for the Final Fantasy series, and actually I didn't when they did Final Fantasy 13 and it went to the paradigm shift stuff, and everybody hated it because they said it was it was a beat it was too linear. They didn't like the battling system, and yeah, to me I loved all of it, even though it wasn't turn based
Mm-hmm.
really. So yeah, I just didn't like the direction that the Final Fantasy franchise was going in. But I love any shit. I play Ys. I play. When Ys Nordics come out, I'm gonna be one of the first ones on that because I actually love that series. I have no problems with non-turn based games. It's just that I prefer turn based, and that one of my favorite franchises has moved away from it. And that doesn't mean I hate it. I still I'm slowly falling off the cliff because, like I said, after 16, if I don't, because I wasn't too a fan of Seven's battling system.
Yeah.
If 16 gives me the same kind of vibe, then I damn sure for won't be picking up the next one.
Exactly. Yeah, so you're in the same place as me. Like I'm like I didn't really like what I've played so far of the 7 remake. I'm like it's okay. Like whatever. I'm not like flipping out. I'm not like spazzing like oh my god, this is so great.
Yeah,
And
same here.
and I'm also not getting on the people that love it. Like if you love it, cool. It was this kind of like stems into like another topic that was going on, but like the whole thing about somebody was asking um are you all guys disappointed that the top rated game of the year is a remake or something or a remaster? And I'm like,
Oh yeah,
what does that matter to me? Why does that
I,
a bunch of
it,
random people that work at websites rated something that I personally don't even plan to play? It has zero effect
I
on my gaming.
but that's why I keep saying people put way too much effort, not effort,
Emphasis.
focus on Metacritic and all that jazz and Game of the Year award and all that jazz. Well, in fact, all you need to do is to play the game and judge them for yourself.
Which is exactly what we all plan to do when it comes to Final
Oh
Fantasy
yeah,
in here.
we do that.
So yeah. But yeah, that's the
Um,
gist of it.
yeah. So Viper, um, what do you think with set 16? Do you think it's gonna flop or no?
I don't think it's gonna flop, but I don't think it's gonna do like Square. I don't think it's gonna do the numbers they expect it to do, like every other game that they drop. Um, so no, I don't think it's gonna flop, but they're gonna fall short of their expectations.
Got you. What are you playing, by the
Oh,
way?
oh my god! So I don't know what the fuck is wrong with people. Forspoken is bomb as fuck. I love the shit out of that game, and
Uh,
honestly, until I play some other games, it is my game of the year so far.
Damn.
mm.
Okay.
And I
I
don't
am not
understand.
surprised about that. I got addicted and I didn't even touch the story. When I
My
played the demo, I got addicted just running around and beating up monster. I never touched the story. I have no idea what the story is about. I know it's an Isekai, but I'm pretty sure it got a story behind it.
Well, I will tell you this. Even though Sick Humor TV, shout out to him, said that he wasn't going to spoil it, he kind of did. So I kind of know what the ending is about without
Oh
him.
damn!
But at the same time, I'm playing. The story does seem to be revving up nicely. I'm about 35 hours into it. And guess what? 35 hours into it, and I only have one type of magic. I maxed out everything in that magic tree, and I still have like 350 points before I spend it. Before I even fought the first time,
Damn, that says a lot.
that thing is huge.
Hmm.
So yeah, I love the hell out of this game, and the battling system. I'm I can't wait to get the other magics because if I'm doing the combos, because I posted a couple of gameplay videos, if I'm doing the combos that I am right now just off of her magic alone, whoo shit! Wait till I get to this other magic.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be a bit broken.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
I'm the order right now.
Um. So, you watched The Last of Us ending?
Yes, I did. I watched that with. Oh, actually, you were the one that wasn't there, I guess.
I wasn't there. I was sick. I
And
have Rona.
yeah,
Um.
sorry to hear about
What
that, man.
you what you thought about everything now that you have seen it? Did it
Okay,
meet your expectation? Did it what you call it? Exceed it? What's up?
it did about exactly what I thought it was. To me, it was like the Uncharted movie where people were, was throwing a fit and was upset because the actors and characters didn't match who they were playing, but then the movie actually turned out okay. That's how I felt about the TV series for
Yeah.
The Last of Us. Um, I would give it an 8 out of 10. They did nail the story. They changed some things I didn't like. They added some new shit I did like. So yeah, it was pretty solid. It was good for a TV show. I tell you one thing, I'm definitely looking forward to season 2, and I'm also looking forward to the other TV shows that Sony's going to be putting out with their games. At first, I didn't want to touch them at all. I was like, I ain't watching none of that shit. But after seeing Uncharted and The Last of Us, I was like, all right, well, maybe I need to just at least peek at it and see if I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
Mm, Okay. Um.
But yeah, sorry, I got to go. Food's, I can finally eat my food. I just wanted to pop
Thank
in.
you for coming through.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna close it out. Oh, before I do so,
Take care,
Morgan.
Viper.
all
Um.
right. Yeah, have a good one.
Later.
Later, Viper.
Yeah.
Morgan. I know you're not that of a JRPG. Well,
Yeah,
you
I have
are.
literally
You're
no
playing Octopath,
comment to add to
but
this situation.
yeah, I'm curious if you have something to add
No,
or
I
no.
don't. No,
Okay, you don't. Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure so I don't skip you.
no, you're good.
And we already said your piece, and me and Nate, we did our thing. I think that's gonna be the end of it. Shout out to everyone that came through. Great show. Great thought, as always. And yeah, let's get to our outros. Viper, you can find him at Viper Reef Corner. Um, Margaret, where we can find you?
You can find me on Twitter, aka Chill Bandit, aka your favorite Xbox ambassador. Um,
You're still on
as
that.
always, Otter Nation.
Elevation.
So,
You can
are you a
find
real
us
bandit?
here. Am I what?
Are you a real bandit?
Maybe.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
everybody for coming through. Everybody on the panel, all the chat. Great discussions today. You can find us again next Saturday, and see you guys next week.
Okay. And Nate, where people can find you?
Yeah, just on Twitter at the real innate. Um, Also temporarily power washing things. Um,
I can't believe that, kid. You got some explaining to do.
Say like you say that until you actually play it, then you're like, all right, okay, I get it, I get it.
Morgan got me thinking about buying power washers and everything now.
Okay.
It's all a setup, So in the future, when she needs her driveway power wash, she's like, "Yo, why don't you bring your power washer through?" But but yeah, nah, yeah, and just like as usual, man, just keep it gaming, and
Oh wait, you play a game? I thought you
yeah,
only talk about them.
yeah. I know it's a start concept. I know there's all these new people that don't play, but yeah, definitely play them. Um,
It
and
is a
yeah,
new concept.
just
Okay,
one time
gotcha.
for the K-ster since she's not here. Um, but I'm gonna have to call her here in a minute because she gonna get these audiobooks. Uh, but Otter Nation, for Kay and her little cup that she got with her otter on it.
Oh yeah, that one. I saw it. It's cute.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to what's her name? Fuck Mamba. I saw the video where she was in some type of area with forest
Yeah,
and
she's in Hawaii.
yeah, and that beautiful scenery.
Yeah, it's an amazing area. They went on a hike
I,
and stuff in the botanical gardens and found
yeah,
waterfalls and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, she's having a blast.
I know it's off topic, but I just want to say this because she really seemed to have the day of her life or
Absolutely.
time of her life.
Yeah, I made sure to tell her to do everything you want to do. Go snorkeling, go crazy, go parasailing or whatever. Just go crazy while you're on vacation. So yeah, she's out there with a bunch of her family. So yeah, they're just having a good time. I
Mm-hmm.
think she may have even had a margarita, which says something because she hasn't had a drink. She hasn't had a drink of alcohol in like 6 years. So
Wow.
she's out there doing it up.
Gotcha. Weeb, where people can find you?
You can find me on Twitter as the Weep Sheriff at Infinite Rhizome and on YouTube as the Weep Sheriff, formerly known as Blue Rhizome. And yes, Other Nation.
Powder Nation.
Okay. As for me, oh yeah, shout out to the rec. He came through. Um, as for me, you can find me at Carb_Shahab on Twitter and Vitamin G podcast every Monday 8 p.m. It's third time. When come to this podcast, so because of the time change in the USA, I'm debating to push uh, the podcast 1 hour later, but I need to discuss it with the crew and see what works best
Well,
and
I mean,
see
you,
the
you
middle
guys
ground.
you guys' time will change shortly, so it's not that big of a deal.
Uh,
I think it will change next weekend, so I'm not sure you need to do
oh,
anything.
Yeah.
okay then. Again, shout out to everyone that came through. This was a great show. Had a lot of fun, despite the fact that I'm on the Rona. And yeah, play your game. Like, truly, play your game. That might it for you.